What's up flappers, welcome back to another video, and as 2.3 quickly approaches, I do think there exists a situation that needs to be addressed amongst the community, and rather saying it's a situation, it's much more like a mindset. Now I say that because most of you probably, especially free-to-play players, are currently still in this mindset, and that is the possibility of future 4-star characters being able to rival the likes of Bennett, Xingqiu, and Xiangling. So the thing I need to correct is why we will never have characters released as powerful as Bennett, Xingqiu, and Xiangling ever again. And I almost never make such definitive statements, but looking at this from miHoYo's perspective and just generally, even as a player, you should be able to understand why it's better for the game if it goes forward not introducing characters that can power creep or to replace characters as powerful as the ones I've just mentioned. Now, do note, when I say that, I don't mean at C6 that newer characters can never beat Bennett, Xiangling. I'm saying at C0, at base constellations, or just built into the character's kit, miHoYo likely won't want situations in the future where characters are so highly condensed and efficient as these older characters. Now, the reason I even want to make a video about this is that among the many conversations I have with my viewers, whether through DMs or just general chatting, it seems people often are thinking that they want to save up and snag the next Bennett or Xingqiu to add to their teams. Now, this conversation always goes either one way or the other. Either A, I tell them that they will never see a character as strong and flexible as Bennett, Xingqiu, and Xiangling, even Diona, right, at low constellations anymore, and they easily accept that. Or B, I go into a 2-hour discussion showing them why. More often than not, people do get the point. So today I want to share with you guys why miHoYo will never release units with so much efficiency behind them just at C0 anymore. Now, this all dates back to September 28, 2020. Now, many of you would recognize that day because that's the day Genshin Impact was released. People flocked to the game not knowing front side from back side, good side from wrong side. To say we were off the mark with meta would be like saying the mark was in the United States of America and we landed on Uranus. Bennett was slapped into B tier and Xingqiu saw very little use. Xiangling was thought to be a free unit, so was immediately benched. The thing is, after a while, people realized about team efficiency and how you can extend a 4-man team with utility into essentially like a 6-man team, even though you only have 4 on your team, right? Because some characters like Bennett, like Xiangling, like Xingqiu, they can do more than just one thing if you were clever enough to fit your team with more flexible units. Hence, Bennett, Xingqiu, and Xiangling started to see more usage because each of them could do more than just one role. Imagine having Qiqi in your team when you could have just had Bennett. Now, I won't bore you and go into the details as to how and for what reason people started to build more flexible units, but fast forward to today, we are still holding these units that I've mentioned, the original 4-star casts of Genshin Impact. They're still sitting at the top of the tier list, while units like Diluc, Keqing, and Qiqi have mostly faded away from the top of said lists. Somehow, these 4-star units have mostly either kept their spots or have even risen in the case of Sucrose. Now, let me stop the video here and ask you all a question. Do you think the dev team at miHoYo made an oopsie and resulted in these 4-stars still having so much relevancy, or do you think it was this way by design? Now, take some time, go down, comment. I want to know what you guys think. So here is what I think. Most players that I've spoken to refuse to believe that the dev team is actually smart enough to plan things like this so far in advance. To be honest with you, I don't think this was a mistake though, alright? If you think about this from a business perspective, these 4-star units are what many free-to-play players build their teams around. In essence, it could be said that these 4-star units are what keeps the game, air quote, right, free to play. During the game's initial release, Genshin heavily relied on a good word of mouth to spread, and for miHoYo, having these high efficiency units was a great way to promote their game to players all over the world as a great free-to-play friendly gacha game. Hey, Look at Genshin. You don't need fancy 5-star units to beat the game. You don't even really need to be a gamer. Anyone can do it. It doesn't matter if you have FPS, MOBA, RPG, MMORPG, board games, right? Or you've never even played games at all. Anyone could have done it, and we have many variations of methods to play and clear the game. Sounds like a pretty sweet deal, right? I mean, it actually was. So you may be wondering, then Walrus, what's the problem? Why don't they do that anymore? Why likely going forward they will never release a unit like the ones back at release, right? If you have realized, starting since after Diona, Genshin 4-star units have become more constellation reliant to activate their full power. I'm not talking about a little bit of damage here or longer duration bursts like Xiangling. I'm talking entire functions that are locked behind constellations to allow the character to truly shine. Not saying these characters are bad, it's just they require much more copies of themselves to come online. I mean, some old 4-stars were also like this. I'm not saying miHoYo never did this, it's just there were such amazing options in the cast of units back in the day when we first started, and it was done so by design, right? Looking at units like Noelle are a great example of the differences of units when it comes to power levels and efficiency with constellations. Now, going back to the current 4-stars, right? They're much more reliant on constellations, and honestly, that's not a coincidence. Yanfei needing C4 to feel complete and consistent to play, just like Thoma, and it wouldn't be a surprise to me that Goro would be the same. It's almost like miHoYo first designs the characters in full and then asks the question, hey, how can we make this character more annoying to play? And when they have that worked out, they strip the character all the way down to a bare bone structure, leaving the juicy stuff in the constellations. It's not a coincidence that a unit like Thoma, whom requires his burst to continuously stack his shield to have an 80 cost burst, only to have his C4 reduce that by 15, bringing that down to a 65 cost burst. The truth is that back during the game's release, miHoYo created a win-win situation for the players in that building these amazing units not only gave the players a good sense of progression and power, but also made the players feel fulfilled and more willing to promote the game to their friends. Now that the game is cruising along well, there's no longer any need to be so generous anymore. I mean, money doesn't grow on trees, people, and someone's gotta be paying the water bills at miHoYo HQ. I personally don't think it's a bad thing that 4-stars since Diona have become more constellation reliant. It's the natural progression of the game. Eventually, I do think miHoYo will have a unit archetype for each element with each weapon, and even down to people's 2D niches of your waifus and husbandos in each of those roles. That's why we play this game, right? It's for the waifus and husbandos. Really, power scaling and tier list couldn't mean less to most of the player base. As long as you can still clear the abyss as a free-to-play, people won't really complain. But for people who are hoarding tens of thousands of primos in hope of landing the next Bennett, sorry to say, but that day likely will never come. Pick someone you like and go for it. This game is more about showing dedication to your waifus than how many stars of abyss you have, because at the end of the day, waifus and husbandos can calm your soul, but the abyss, as the name suggests, is just a never-ending grind, with credit cards being the main meta for clear time leaderboards. With that said, I hope this video has helped some people understand. Don't get frustrated when you see future 4-stars requiring more constellations and thinking, when is the next Bennett gonna come along and change the 4-star metas forever? It's great that the game is pacing along slowly, with each new character being unique and offering new playstyle. Not all of them are gonna be bangers, but at the same time, you don't need all of them to be bangers to love them, right? I think it's great to have flaws in these units, and it just makes them feel more relatable as units we can love and care for, as opposed to these tools that we use and abuse to get certain achievements in the game. All right, with that said, I'm going to be streaming later tonight. I'm going to be giving away another hotel on Friday. Hope to see you guys there. If you have any more questions, leave them in the comments or tune in to the live stream. I love to have more discussions with you guys about any Genshin topic. So until the live stream, urge you all to stay safe and peace.